Now back to the Bill Post Radio Show.
All right, so without further ado, whether you if you got the robocall, either he's Bob Cornilles or he's Rob Cornelius, or actually his real name, Rob Cornilles. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Bill Post.
You heard about that.
Is it Bill Post or Bill Post?
Whatever works. Can you, you know what? I was so inflamed last night when I saw that story. You know what I'm talking about, the robocalls, right?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Where they specifically, they said your opponent's name as clear as the driven snow, and then your name was butchered, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder who did that poll, Rob.
I don't really care. It's just, it's just more of the same. It's political tricks. We just keep pressing forward and educating the voters as best we can on the difference between electing me and what we will have if the voters choose my opponent. And it's even the Oregonian, as recently as this morning, has said that she's got a very clear partisan voting record, especially when it comes to raising taxes, and she never saw a tax increase in Salem that she didn't like, that she didn't want to vote for. And so those are her words, and that's a pretty clear distinction between someone like me who's created jobs and is going to Congress to create jobs, or someone who's going to Congress to raise taxes.
Rob, and I have the story right in front of me, and it really is amazing. I know because I've watched her over the last 3 or 4 years that I've been doing this show. I've been watching her in the state legislature, and there'll be those names, those 4 or 5 names that will come up in stories, and every time they're sort of linked together, and they're almost always Democrats, and they're almost always out of the Portland area, or they may have 1 or 2 from the Eugene area, and they're almost always on the far left of every vote that comes up, and every time Suzanne Bonamici's name would always come up in that list, and I would look at Justin and I'd say, oh, there she is again. And now she's running for Congress, and I keep trying to preach to people, do you not understand what this person is all about?
Yeah, and do you not understand what has created some of the problems that we have in this state?
Oh.
It's that kind of mentality that the government is better suited to know what to do with your money than you are. Government is better positioned to do good things in our communities and in our businesses and our families than you would be. And that's why she loves to take your money as a legislator. Even in one case, she decided, apparently, to raise taxes on marriage licenses because, in her words, it hadn't been done for a while.
That was one of my favorites, yeah. We haven't raised that one, so let's raise that one. Do you have a reason, Senator? She said, no, just because we haven't done it.
That's right.
I mean, that's insane.
That's right.
Yeah,
so obviously, then, we see even more evidence as to why the Democratic National Committee is putting $1 million in these attack ads against me, because they're scared to death that if people actually look at their own candidate, they're going to discover, oh my gosh, this is not what we need in Washington, D.C. This is just more of the same. It's basically just like the last representative we had with a different name.
Yeah.
And they don't want voters to learn that. And they're scared to death that as voters learn about my job-creating background and what drives me and how I want to benefit and advocate for this district versus what she will do for this district, the voters are going to make a clear choice on January 31st to vote for me. So instead, let's discredit him. Let's try to twist his words. Let's try to suggest he's this mean, bad person. And as I said, change the subject.
Yeah. Okay. Now, again, so that people understand, Rob Cornilles. Rob, last night, this is where I just explained to my audience before you came on, and I'm sorry, I'm going to do this again, but this is more because I want to hear your comment. This is what $1 million will get you. Last night, my wife and I, it's a very rare time that we actually sat and watched just sort of staring at the TV type thing. Nothing really planned. We watched the Channel 2 News, followed by Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Okay? So in those programs, that's all local programming, so that's Portland advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Every single break in that hour and a half period, every single break either started with or ended with either Suzanne Bonamici's ad or the DCC's ad. Every single break. You had 3 in there in that time period. I counted yours. And so she had somewhere between 18 and 20. Now, obviously I'm not knocking you. I mean, you're doing what you can. But I want people to understand that's what you're up against. That's what $1 million does.
Yeah. And how often does the DCCC or the Democrat National Committee spend $1 million in 60 days to try to finish a race?
Yeah.
To try to influence a race. It doesn't happen very often at all anywhere in the country. So obviously, they see in me someone whose message is resonating, someone who's got the background that this district, not to mention this country, needs more of. That is a job-creating background, someone who actually can stick to a budget, someone who has the courage to make tough decisions, someone who knows what it takes to write their name on the front of a paycheck, and so they are dead set on making sure that voters are misinformed or poorly informed about what I can do and how I would benefit our state and how I would benefit especially Northwest Oregon.
Now look, so, I know you are a very nice man. You're a very nice man. I loved your ad. With Allison and the boys and you and showing you working and all that. I get that. And no, absolutely, not offended by it. I loved it. But I was so burned up last night, Rob, watching those commercials. I got so burned up. I'm telling you, I was throwing my remote at the TV. And I kept saying, Rob's got to come on there and tell what a rotten person she is. I mean, I was going crazy. And that's what this story does today in the Oregonian, if people will read it. And so my question to you is, and you don't have to answer, but my question to you is, Rob, at some point, are you going to have to come out and do maybe something that you don't feel as comfortable doing?
What I will always do, and certainly I think you'll see the race get more attention in the new year, is I will always feel it's my obligation to educate voters on the differences between me and her. And so that's always a part of our strategy. It has been since day one. And I would just tell you that if voters want to see more from me in the way of messaging, in the way of ads, they can help by volunteering. They can help by making a contribution, because obviously we are dealing with a machine here. We're dealing with an establishment, a political establishment, centered in Portland and with tentacles clear out in Washington, D.C., that refuses to allow a small business owner to represent this district. They'd rather see someone who's been groomed in this position, who comes from an elite political family, and who supported the cover-up of our last congressional embarrassment.
Oh.
They'd rather see that person take over this seat and represent this part of the country. So if voters are tired of that, as I am, if they say enough's enough, if they say I'm sick of people who have no interest in the welfare of this district determining its future, then it's time for them to get off their couch. It's time for them to volunteer in my campaign. It's time for them to get on my website, cornillesforcongress.com, and make a modest or generous contribution so that we can get not only the ads that you've seen from our camp, but more ads on television so people can have a clear and an accurate picture of the difference between having her in office and having me representing this district.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Rob, just so that people understand. Is it too late right now to register to vote for this general election, or are we still close to the cutoff?
No, we still have time.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date, but there is still time for people to register. And what a great point, Bill. When people have their kids home for the holidays from college, or they're just gathered around with family and friends at these parties, they need to be asking them, have you registered? If not, go over to the laptop on the kitchen counter.
Yep.
And get on the Secretary of State's website and register. It takes about 1 minute.
I know. And as much as I hate the mail-in, right now, this is really important. This is really important that people register. If you live in the 1st Congressional District, now, if you live in, we have people who are listening right now, they live in the 4th, they live in the 5th, some live in the 3rd, and we even have some that live over in the 2nd. Wherever you are, if you have family or friends who live in the 1st, I'd say, A, get them to register to vote. And preferably, we'd like you to register Republican and vote Republican. 2, get on Cornilles' site and start helping out. Tell us about the site again.
It's cornillesforcongress.com, and you can register even on our website. Something I failed to mention, but not only can you make a contribution on our website, not only can you sign up to volunteer, not only can you do all those things and read about my positions and my background and the testimonials and endorsements that we're gathering, but you can also register to vote. So we make it as easy as possible for people.
And as far as you... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Bill. I would just say, I'm not asking people to support me. I'm asking people to consider, what do they want this state to look like in the future? What do they want this country to look like? And do you want to put in office someone who has demonstrated in the last 5 years, through her extremely partisan voting record, that they want to continue to kill job opportunities in our state and drive those opportunities away? Or are they saying, enough's enough, it's time to put someone representing the Portland region in this office who actually knows something about job creation, who has demonstrated it out of his back pocket for the last 16 years, who's employed 60 people, and who's done the tough things to keep a business surviving in Oregon? If that's what they want, then they should get on our team for themselves, for their kids, for their grandkids, for their neighbors who are out of work right now.
And again, you don't have to necessarily be in the 1st District. Obviously, you do have to vote. But you can be anywhere in Oregon, because Rob will be representing, obviously, the 1st District, but he'll still be Congressman Rob Cornilles of Oregon.
Correct.
And you'll be working for all of Oregon.
And even if people can't vote for me, those who are listening right now in Salem or in West Lynn or wherever they may be, in Eugene, even if they can't vote for me, if they can help me get into office, I can vote for them.
Yeah. Nice one. I like that. Ooh, I think I might write that one down.
Well, it's true, because I'll vote for the things that they want, as far as principles, as far as values, as far as real leadership for this state. And when I go back there and I cast a vote, they don't ask me what district I'm from. They just want to know, yay or nay.
Yeah. And you know what else it tells me, though, Rob? It could be very much the start of a domino effect. I really see this race as something that could show us then that next year in November that perhaps the 5th and the 4th could go Republican too.